What's going on, YouTube?
Hey
Welcome
guys.
back to another day in the life. Today,
Helen, don't you do it.
jumping on the cameraman. Hi. Gonna focus a little bit on the day-to-day stuff, some of the training, physical therapy work, how our evaluation process works, and run you guys through kind of a typical rotate. We then are gonna go train, shelter for a new rescue, and potentially the vet.
All right, let's do it.
So typical day for us, the last 12 months, I'd say, starts anywhere from 5:30 to 6 in the morning, and we're basically rolling until 11 or 11:30 p.m. Obviously, we have to get all of the dogs into the yards, so we have 4 separate yards. 3 are complete with turf, concrete footing, fencing. So dogs go into all 3 yards. From there, we'll rotate into yard 2, where we can work on basic obedience stuff. Some of the dogs need treadmill work. We're doing dog intros. If we have a dog with behavioral issues, we start working on that, like a resource garter. Anything we need to do to get them ready for adoption. It can vary a little bit dog to dog. Every dog kind of has a set list of checks or checkpoints, I guess, that we have to go through to make sure that we get them ready for adoption.
Yeah, and then there's morning and night walks.
Yep.
So whatever dogs go on morning walks, obviously don't go on night walks. Now that it's getting a little warmer, we try to get the walks done before 10 a.m. because it gets kind of warm around this time.
Yeah.
So 10 to about 4 p.m. is the no walking time. But past 4 p.m., we usually start walks and they go up until 7:30 around sunset time because when it gets dark out there, there's little critters that like to come out and play. Little creatures.
Fox friend.
Yeah, so, but we're in constant rotation. We're constantly moving. I think a lot of people assume that all of our dogs get along and everyone goes into the yard and plays together, and that's not the case. We have a lot of dogs that range from, 10 months to 15 years old.
Yeah.
And there's different play styles. There are dogs that are
selective, reactive, and don't get along with the other dogs.
right.
So dogs do have to be separated.
Yeah.
So we have our inside setup. Everyone's in crates with the exception of our seniors and our personal dogs. IHOP Waffles have their own special room. But yeah, it is a constant rotation from 5:30 to 6 in the morning to 11:30 at night. We're basically moving around doing stuff with the dogs. So not going to focus too much on that for the day in the life because you guys will just watch us walk dogs from yard to yard and go out in the field. But there are things, like I said, with training and from a temperament standpoint, physical therapy, dog intros that need to get done. And that's stuff that's going to translate over to you guys. So that's going to be more the focus point. Let's get it.
All right, so this is Shadow. He was surrendered to the shelter by his owner back in December, and he was completely matted. He was terrified of the world. He was about 20 pounds underweight and had major stranger danger. We went to go pick him up from the shelter, and it looked like he had never been on leash before. Cowered over in his kennel, growling, showing teeth. So we knew he was going to be a project. But with dogs like that, you just want to make sure you're giving them their space and you're being very patient with them. But he was initially picked up as a stray 7 years ago. And he was picked up as a stray twice and then dropped off at the shelter 7 years later by his owners. We don't get much backstory when dogs are dropped off, but I'm sure Shadow here was an escape artist and was, getting out of his yard, and after 2 times of ending up at the shelter, his owners probably tethered him somewhere in the backyard because it looked like he had never been indoors before. He was covered in fleas, had all sorts of sticks inside of his fur that was matted, and a lot of people ask, what's this little scar on the top of his nose? And that's probably sun damage. So he was outside his entire life. So it took us a while to build this type of relationship with Shadow. I think a lot of people see the happy-go-lucky, he's cuddling with me, he's frolicking around, he's super sweet, he's fluffy, he looks like a golden retriever, and people, are a little obsessed with Shadow, but they don't realize the work that went into gaining his trust and letting him go at his own pace. So Shadow definitely had a rough start, but he is living it up now, and he is one of my favorite kiddos in the rescue, and I don't think he's going anywhere. I think he's going to stay here with us. But yeah, that is Shadow's story. And there's a Shadow in every shelter, multiple shadows at every shelter. I think a lot of people got stuck on, the way that he looks, because he looks like a golden retriever, even though we did his DNA test and it's like 10% golden retriever. But there are a lot of dogs that need your help and need you guys to step up and be their hero. So I'm hoping that sharing Shadow's story will inspire some of you to go out there and either foster or adopt or get involved at your local shelter or rescue.
Yeah, if you guys don't follow us on Instagram, by the way, Shadow is a pity.
What was I can't
Not
remember
the golden everyone thought he was.
I know. I can't remember the breakdown. It was like Australian cattle dog.
Australian cattle dog was the highest. Then it was pity.
No,
Pity
I think it was
like
something
35%.
No, it was 20 something. It was Australian cattle dog, something, pity, German Shepherd, Weimaraner, Collie, Chow. There was Super Mutt, I think it was.
Super Mutt. Yeah, but Super Mutt's basically
Yeah.
Super Mutt is the silliest thing ever. Okay.
Well, because Super Mutt just means that there are like 20 more breeds in it.
He's a pity. He's a pity.
He's a fluffy pity.
Shadow didn't go to the Ranger event either. That's another thing I wanted to touch on, because I know there's going to be a lot of upset fans. Shadow's acquired quite a bit of fame on Instagram. But, Shadow would have been awesome to have. Like, yes, it would have been a great complete revenge tour to get him to Ranger Stadium as he takes a dump. There we go. But with Shadow, he does have stranger danger. He was definitely not treated great with his previous family. So it does take him a while to warm up to people. Anakin, same thing. I know Anakin's kind of a crowd favorite, but it's about setting the dogs up for success. And when we have a dog with stranger danger, we have to make sure we're putting them in very controlled environments where we can kind of control the variables, and throwing them in a situation like Ranger Stadium, where you have a lot of new faces and athletes and sounds, batting practice. It would have been very stressful for him. So Shadow stayed back this time. Anakin, not as much stranger danger. He's actually been really good with new people.
Yeah.
Anakin's issue is he doesn't like being restrained. So, I mean, it would have been a little bit of a dice roll, when you're taking pictures with athletes that make millions and millions of dollars.
Well, and they want to do this.
And they want to, trying to relay that message to them would have been a lot, because obviously these guys are in a hurry. There's a lot going on in their day-to-day. They're getting ready for a game. So we didn't want to, have to try and spend 5-10 minutes explaining his triggers and how to handle them properly and freak them out. So just safer for these two. So Lola's definitely the highest drive dog in the home. So we're going to dive into drive, low drive, high drive, and kind of how we approach both the dogs, because we're going over things we have to get done with the dogs on a daily basis. With Lola, every time she comes outside, the first thing we do is impulse control, and then we start doing our stop and start drill. Lola, sit. So the reason we do, Aloli, sit. The reason we do impulse control with a dog like Lola is to get her ready for her potential family. Lola's got very, very high prey drive, and she's very fixated on high value items like this toy. So forcing her to get into a sit and wait. Sit. Good girl. Go. Is something that's really important for her success. When she gets overly fixated on objects, it might not seem like a big deal, but if you watch how mouthy she is, that could translate very poorly into a home. If you have a kid running around with a toy and she decides that she wants that toy, she will go and get that toy. And that potentially, sit, good girl, wait, potentially could be a really, really bad accident. So see, the goal here, as she's leaning in, is that she understands she has to wait until I give her her command. Sit. Good girl. And then you'll see what a freak athlete she is. Yeah. Shh. Good girl. You want to tell everyone how we got Lola? Lola's backstory, origin story?
Sure. So.
And how she almost ended rescue for us?
Did she?
Oh man, I was so done with rescue. we had Lola and 9 male Mal pups.
Oh well, that we still have PTSD from her and her babies in the beginning, but
that was brutal.
There's a networker in Los Angeles who sent us a message regarding Mama Lola, her baby daddy, and the fact that she was pregnant, and she was trying to find rescue backing. And there were some rescues in LA that were willing to take the puppies, but not her. And at this point, she had already given birth to 9 boys. And they're like, well, yeah, once, the puppies can be separated from her, we'll take the puppies, and then, someone else will have to figure out what to do with the mama.
Which is a big no. If
And
you guys
that's
follow
like,
us on
yeah,
Instagram, no mama left behind.
like
Hard
we
no.
never, even if, we see some rescues do that with shelter dogs. They'll pick up puppies, leave the moms behind because they're harder to adopt out. They typically have a overbred look that isn't appealing to some people. So
basically, it's easier to adopt puppies.
Right.
And there are rescues that are really lazy, and it drives me up a wall when I see moms get left behind.
Right.
It's just a big, big no-no for
Yeah.
me. So out of spite, we basically got Lola transported to Texas because
out of spite.
it was 1,000,000,000%.
For me, it wasn't out of spite. For him, it might have been out of spite. For me, it was I saw her, I mean, the babies, it was, okay, no one else is going to step up for all of them together. Let's just get them transported here. Babies at this point were about 3 weeks old, and Lola was sleeping in bed with this person that was fostering them in Los Angeles, which is a big no-no, especially for a new dog that was in a junkyard not being shown any affection. She had major separation anxiety. So she literally destroyed one of the rooms. Oh, and just backtrack a little bit. The dad, her baby daddy, got adopted with a wonderful family in LA. So he didn't make the trip to Texas. But yeah, I mean, that crew was by far the hardest puppies, not only because they were Malinois, but because there were 9 of them.
Well, and I think most people get puppies 8 to 12 weeks old. We're talking about brand new puppies that are shitting every 30, 40 minutes, literally, just destroying everything. And Mal's, we had them in the, 4-foot playpen?
Yeah, initially they started at 4 feet.
4 weeks old?
Yeah.
These guys were climbing out. But that's how Lola got to us. She's been with us 2 years now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, she really is a good girl. Crazy smart, very high drive. Just needs a very specific home.
We play devil's advocate when people reach out about any type of dog. But because we describe Malinois like we do on social media, I think a lot of people are afraid to reach out to see if they would be a good fit for her because they're afraid that we're going to say no or deny them, which is fine. But, we never want to lead with something that Lola is not. Right? She's a beautiful dog, and yes, she's very smart, but if you know that you're not the type of person that's going to put in the work with that type of breed, then you really shouldn't own it. Maybe get a cat.
Gee, so exciting. So yard 3 is where we have 10 by 10 kennels. So from yard 3, we can come into yard 2, do our obedience work, dog intros, playtime, whatever it may be. From yard 3 with the kennels, we could also go to yard 4 for free time. And then from yard 4, we can take dogs out on a walk. So it's constantly kind of rotating from yard 3. So we can have a bunch of dogs out. We can come into yard 2, yard 4, or go to the field for a walk. Let's go, Nachi. Come on. We'll do a lot of these pack walks on days like today where we're filming and in a little bit more of a hurry because dogs need to get exercised before we leave the house. So this way we could have dogs in the yard having free time. We could get 2 dogs out and we could work on intros, them learning to share space, but also because we have to go to the gym, we got to train, and then we are going to the shelter to go rescue a new kiddo. So just in a little bit of a hurry, figure we get some walks in. We are getting ready to go train and then off to the shelter. Just wanted to give a quick shout out to Rise HRT, who we partnered with probably 8 months ago. Steph is on hormone replacement. I know there's a lot of women on hormone replacement. So, if you guys are on thyroid supplementation, testosterone, if you need to get your hormones checked, which by the way, if you haven't had your hormones checked, reach out, get your hormones checked, and they'll take care of you. Everything gets shipped right to your door. Glutathione, NAD Plus are things that I use yearly from them. Also, I started using BioBoost for this prep. Arginine, L-carnitine, B vitamins, mic shot, stuff like that. It's really helped my energy levels stay up. So I'll add the link for you guys. Check them out, fill out the form. They'll reach out, talk about your goals. You can use code TPR to get yourself 20% off your order. So closing in here, a few weeks out at this point. So not trying to be a total ass when we're lifting, just control the tempo, still train hard, but being a little bit cautious at this point. I think really, as long as your load, what you're lifting is within reason, just want to make sure you're really controlling that eccentric part of the motion coming down. I think that's where a lot of people mess themselves up with presses as they get closer to a show. Go, come on. Yup. Yeah.
I probably won't go heavier than that, even though I'm horrible at counting reps.
You got 8.
Okay, sweet.
Gotcha.
So I got 8.
You're just bad at counting.
Okay. In general, bad with numbers. I could probably go up in weight, but because I don't have my straps and mentally it's getting to me, I probably won't go up in weight.
As you just threw 50s around?
Yeah. I mean, I'll do another set with
Our
50.
demographic is impressed. It's okay.
Right. I'll do another set with 50, but I won't go up. If I had my straps, I'd probably go up to 55, maybe 60.
I mean, I've seen Steph throw 70s around.
I have. Back in the day.
Steph's one of those chicks, not even back in the day.
Back in the day.
Just she's packed on so much muscle, it doesn't go away. Like if Steph turns it on for a week and, like with Rescue, the diet is like, 8 ounces of water a day. And
yeah, I think I've had about 8 ounces today.
Yeah.
And it's 3 p.m.
Yeah. If she dials in for like a week, the 70s go back up. Beep.
Beep, beep. You have one more set?
Yeah. One more. It was actually really early in Steph and I seen each other. Your baggy clothes get up that one night. Oh, it was the night my car got stolen. That's right. We were about to move.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was the night my car got stolen in LA. We went and trained at late. I mean, we got what time did we get back? 1 a.m.?
It was like midnight. His car got stolen at 1 a.m.
Yeah. Car got stolen at 1 a.m. We woke up, it was gone like 2 days. Yeah.
Go on with the story.
That was terrible. Oh, no. Basically, all the clothes and shit was packed up for the move. So Steph came out in like
I had
2XL joggers and like an XL
shirt,
like tank hoodie thing. And I was like, oh. It did it for me. I don't know.
That's how I knew he was a keeper, because I could look like a hobo and he's like, wow.
Yeah.
She purdy.
Oh, she purdy.
It's crazy to see his body change. Like, he looks really, really good this week.
Let's go rescue a dog.
Let's go rescue one dog, a dog.
2 dogs.
One dog.
Maybe 3.
What? Packing my shit. Well, we've arrived at the Dallas Animal Shelter. We don't like to spend a lot of time out in the parking lot because
I've already seen 3 people drop their dogs off.
Yeah, there's a lot of owner surrenders that happen, and sometimes people don't handle the dogs as nicely as they should.
Sometimes Steph gets to fights in the parking lot.
Or they have dogs in the back of a pickup truck and it just pisses me off. So we don't try to hang out here too much, but we wanted to go over a few things before getting in there because it gets really loud once you're in there.
Yeah. So, I mean, number 1, do's and don'ts at the shelter. Once you go into a shelter, a few just pet peeves I have that I see a lot. If you have kids, do not stick your hand inside the kennels.
Yeah.
For your safety, the dog's safety,
right?
But also because shelters, especially like Dallas, they have 300 kennels and they can have anywhere from 300 to 400 dogs where dogs are doubled up. You have upper respiratory infections that are running rampant, and when you're sticking your hand in there, letting a dog lick you, going to touch the next dog, you're spreading that upper respiratory infection, and that's how dogs end up getting pneumonia and being put down inside the shelter or red listed.
Yep. And not only that, I mean, you touched on a good point saying, for the dog's safety as well. Yeah. If a dog is agitated and stressed out and a child is sticking their arm through, I mean, we've seen kids literally stick their arms all the way to their elbow, like trying to pet the dog. Yeah, if that dog nips that child, now that dog's going to be put down because it was aggressive. And it wasn't. It was just scared and nervous, and you had this like creature coming at you, right? So for the dog's
kid
safety.
Being the creature.
Correct.
But yes, I mean, that's probably the biggest don't.
Yeah.
Just on kind of a quick note, as far as do's, I don't think a lot of people know how to navigate a shelter. So you're going to see kennel cards once you get inside there. Yep. Most shelters will let you interact with those dogs in the yard. So if there's a dog you're interested in, you could bring that A number is what it's called. Just take a picture. You could bring it to the front. And oftentimes, again, unless there's a really bad upper respiratory infection running through, they'll let you go outside and actually interact with that dog.
Yeah. Occasionally there are shelters that have volunteers on the floor. You could also ask a volunteer and they can take the dog out to the play area for you to do a meet and greet. Don't try to take the dog out yourself. We've seen that too, because it's not like the kennels are locked. They just have like a little hook on them, and people try to take dogs out themselves. Please do not do that. You don't know if the dog is sick. You don't know the dog's temperament, if it's on bite quarantine or anything like that. So always ask for help when you're at a shelter.
Yeah. Cool.
What else?
I mean, those are the two big do's and don'ts, I guess. That wasn't a very long list.
I mean, another thing that you can do while you're at the shelter, because a lot of these volunteers are the ones interacting a lot with the dog. You know,
Networking.
maybe if if you're coming to the shelter with an idea of a type of dog that you want, talk to a volunteer and say, hey, look, this is my lifestyle. I have a kid at home. I work this many hours, or I work from home. I have another dog at the house. Is there a dog that you've interacted here with that you think would be a good fit for me?
Mhm.
Instead of coming to the shelter and looking for a specific type of dog, because every dog has a different personality.
Yeah.
So talking to the volunteers here that are really hands-on with the dogs they can lead you in the right direction to make sure that you are picking the right dog for you.
Networking
Yes.
at the shelter. This is a really big one. We've said it before. Fostering is not for everyone. Donating is not for everyone, and
Yep.
that's absolutely okay. There's a lot of rescues, unfortunately, that do kind of guilt trip people.
Yeah.
You know, like they get upset. We're all your fosters. Why aren't you donating? And they're throwing sad dogs in front of you. It's not for everyone. You are not a bad person because you can't or don't want to donate, or because you can't or don't want to foster. That's okay. If you want to find a way to get involved, that's not going to affect your personal life at home.
Yep.
Networking is great. Again, shelters don't have enough employees, they don't have enough volunteers. If you have an hour on Saturday and you want to get involved, you can go to the shelter, taking good quality pictures, videos of these dogs and sharing them to your social media. Or if you have a nice camera, sharing them with the shelter goes a long way.
Yep.
It helps for these dogs to be seen. Because again, shelters being short-staffed, it's often not great blurry pictures of dogs coming in on intake. They can look scared, shut down.
Right.
You know, if you have the opportunity to get some nice pictures, maybe take a dog to a yard, interact with them, where you can video and showcase their personality, it helps them get adopted exponentially.
We actually haven't been at the shelter for probably 2 months now, because we were gearing up for our trip.
Yeah.
I know.
We just got back from our first trip in over 3 years, our first break in over 3 years. We still took some of the dogs because we have special needs and behavioral dogs.
Yep.
But it's the first getaway break we've had in over 3 years. Got engaged to this
Yeah.
beautiful woman.
Thank you. But yeah, we had to
yeah.
slow down intake, obviously, because we were displacing dogs in foster homes and some in board and train, and the dogs that were staying back with Amanda. But so we obviously slowed down intake. So we've had an itch for, taking a dog out of the shelter for
I want
quite
to
some
go
time.
pull like 8 dogs.
I know. But we got a text yesterday. Yesterday about he's like 4.5 or 5 pound Chihuahua that has still a wire in place from a broken jaw. So jaw was broken for whatever reason. Someone took him to the vet and he got out, or they dropped him off. We don't know.
Yeah.
So he has a stray hold for another 2 days, but they're allowing us to take him.
Because he's medical and needs attention.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's either we are going to our vet after this, or we're going to urgent care during the weekend. We haven't decided just yet.
Yeah.
Our vet actually looked at his medical record and said, he seems stable. Just when you get him in your hands, you'll know.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, because there aren't eyes on all of dogs here 24/7.
Right.
The medical notes in the beginning might say he is stable, and then we get him and he is not stable.
Yeah.
So
we're gonna get
play it by
moving
ear.
here,
Okay.
Not our typical rescue. I mean, typically it's.
I just saved your life. You see that?
I know. Wow, that was good. Thank you. Yeah, if you guys follow us on Instagram, if you're not following us, follow us. Insert handles here. But yeah, typically large breed dogs. But obviously, depending on where we're at, I think, I don't know, like 32 dogs right now.
30.
Yeah, we can run out of room and little dogs don't count. That's kind of how Steph and I see it. So when we're full, whether it's from our schedule because we need to allocate time to all the dogs, or we're just out of room in the house, it's like, oh, it's a little dog, it's free. Like, that's a free pull.
All right, let's go. Come on. 9 months old. Oh, hi, baby piggy. So this is Demodex. It could possibly be scabies. You don't really know until you do a skin scrape. But Demodex is not contagious to other animals or humans. Scabies is. So I'm obviously not going to stick my hands through there and touch this kiddo. But it's when your immune system is really low. So he was probably never vaccinated as a puppy. Hi, baby. Oh, I know. And he's only 9 months old. And it's someone that didn't care for him. I left him outside, didn't vaccinate him. His immune system got low, and anything that's like mites will take over. So that's why that happened. But it's looking more like Demodex to me than it is scabies, so that's not contagious.
It used to be predominantly pits and shelters, and it still is, but the amount of German Shepherds the last 2 years that have been popping up, it's mind-blowing. And it's because they're really good-looking dogs that got popular. And there's too many people that are getting dogs based on how they look because they saw them in a movie or TV show. German Shepherds are my favorite breed, and it kills me to see them in shelters. It's people that have no idea what they're getting into. This. I mean, it's every single day we're seeing like 15, 20 surrender German Shepherds. It's terrible. And they're a breed that does not that any dog does well, but really they do not do well in a shelter environment.
Oh, your poor little jaw. All right, let's get out of here, little cheechsters. We finally have another Chichi in the house.
Well, the medical pup Shaggy with the ear injury has been tagged by a rescue, so he'll get squared away here. I kind of figured because of the breed, there'd be a rescue that stepped up. Outside of that, I really am looking for a senior, and we didn't see a super senior, at least today.
And a large
although
breed one.
I do really, really like that
Montana.
big Shepherd Montana, so we're probably going to email and get some notes. But, little sir, what's the story? What's going on?
Little Sir has a wire exposed on his bottom jaw, so I'm thinking his jaw was broken at one point. But looking at his nails, I think that wire was placed a long time ago because no vet would have placed that wire and not clipped his nails.
So I'm guessing at some point that wire went in, and then the family never took him back to the vet, or they rehomed him, and whoever had him never took him back to get that wire out. But we need to get that looked at, obviously.
You're so cute. Well, guys.
Well, we are going to get this kiddo to the vet. We got to let our cameraman go home. But we'll see you guys Monday.
Yep.
For another day. Oh, and we got the Ranger event, and we might have another new rescue.
We'll talk about it later.
I'm going to start looking for some seniors. Don't forget, like, comment, subscribe. It helps out. And ring the bell. We'll see you guys next time.